Hey Haley, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Kathryn. How are you?
You doing great?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's a lie, but yeah.
My whole life's a lie.
My whole life's a joke.
Oh, yikes. I mean, at least you're laughing. That's what matters.
Crickets. Oh, God. For legal reasons, it's a joke. I'm okay. I'm mentally stable.
I know how to answer these questions.
How was you today?
I is good.
I is good.
I is good. Spooky babes, how are you doing today? I hope you had a spooky nightmare last night.
Oh, yeah. Any of y'all check out that movie? I fucking hope so.
I hope you guys watched Terrifier.
Again.
I sincerely hope you did.
You're welcome. To have graced your lives with that amazing movie.
Amazing movie. I mean, it sounds like we're being sarcastic right now, but we sincerely hope you did check it out.
Yeah.
It is a great movie. Critics might say otherwise, but...
I mean, not as bad as...
Yeah.
The movie we're going to mention in this story.
The movie today. I mean, today's not a movie day. Today's a supernatural haunting hour day. Spooky day.
Spooky day.
All days are spooky days. When you're with Saturdays are for the Ghouls.
Exactly. I'm not musically inclined.
I barely am. I love how we have sung. I feel like we have sung something every single time since our first podcast where we said we will no longer be singing.
Where you said we will no longer be singing, and then you backtracked and was like, we'll probably be singing.
It'll just be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it has only been 2 more episodes. But I just can't help myself. Sometimes I like to sing.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. Well, today on the Spooky Haunting Hour, we're going to talk about Waverly Hills Sanitorium. This place is a real place. It's in Kentucky. And we're going to tell you a little bit about the history and then a little bit about the spooky stuff that goes along with it.
The spooky stuff.
I cannot wait for Halloween. I know it's June,
Dude,
but like,
honestly,
I am so excited for Halloween.
Like, doing all this research, I just want it to be Halloween. And I keep seeing fall shit, and I'm like, bro.
It's summer.
We haven't even gotten through summer yet.
Right.
We haven't had our hot girl summer. I know. As I'm here under a blanket.
Hey, this is some people's hot girl summer. Okay, so no, wait. Before we get started, it's just 6 minutes in before we get started.
It'll be like 2 minutes after you edit.
Right. I really just want to watch horror movies all day long. That's all I want to do. I want to rewatch all the Screams and all the Michael Myers movies.
Okay. All the Scream, yeah. I definitely want to watch the Scream ones.
And then I really want to watch all the American Horror Stories again. And I've never watched Scream Queens, but
I've seen most of the first season.
Yeah. I'm just really interested in watching some horror very soon.
Like some scary stuff?
Yeah. Specifically when it's dark out and like raining and howling.
And howling? I mean, I can get you on the howling for the, just, look up on YouTube or something. Some, creepy, ambiance music in the background.
I just love, pouring rain outside October nights. Dark at, 5 p.m. You, curl up with some popcorn and a blanket, and you just go for it. Yeah. I would just like a spooky October night to happen soon, but it's probably not going to happen for at least 3 more months.
Yeah. So probably when it's October.
September sometimes can get spooky.
Yeah.
It starts getting dark again in late September. I don't love it getting dark that early, but, it's a great time to watch spooky movies. When it's
spooky movie.
Pitch dark out. And we live in the rainy state, so it storms.
Oh, yeah.
Like no other sometimes. Anyway, we know that you came here for us to talk about ourselves. You didn't come here to get spooked, did you? You were like, you know what, those girls, I really wanna know about those girls.
They don't give 2 shits about spooky stuff. They care about the 2 bitches talking about the spooky shit.
They're like, yeah, I don't want the 10 minutes of spooky stuff you guys talk about. I want the 10 minutes of you that you talk about on each end of the spooky story.
You mean like the 2% actual content? 98% is just fucking around?
Oh.
I mean, it's fine.
Let me tell you, you've sat through worse things than this podcast. I promise you, millennials, I promise you, you have sat through worse things. In fact, last night, I sat through a very terrible movie that we will talk about later that was worse than this podcast. Anyway, moving on.
Ooh.
So, let's get spooky. Cuddle in with your blanket. Turn off all the lights if it's sunny out. If not, just let the darkness fall all over you. Anyway.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Say, I am swallowing in darkness every day, so...
Alright, spooky babes. To open up this haunting hour, we're going to talk about Waverly Hills Sanatorium. And I got my information from quite a few different places. I decided that the most reliable source was an educational video from 9 years ago, BuzzFeed. And the sources just get sketchier from there. Ranker, like, you know, okay. A movie.
A movie.
So, we're going to roll it back all the way to 1883.
Ooh.
1883, Thomas H. Hayes. He owned the land that is where the sanatorium is at. He only had one daughter, and his daughter wanted a schoolhouse to teach kids there. And so he built her a school, and she named the school Waverly.
According to my research,
on
that
Wikipedia.
Is wrong.
What's she named?
On multiple, actually. So this is what my research came up with. So the land was originally purchased by Thomas H. Hayes, which was right in 1883. He mentioned that he needed a school for his daughters. So I was like, okay, there's multiple of them. And he built the school, and he hired Lizzie Lee Harris to teach.
Huh. Okay, so this is great. This is a great reason why history is a useless subject. Because depending on who wrote the history story, it's different.
Yeah.
Weird.
Who knew that no one could be accurate back in 1883?
Right. It was also like about 150 years ago. Okay, so we'll reel it back. Back in 1883, Thomas Hayes built a school, and they named it Waverly, maybe Waverly Hills. 9 years ago, someone made a video that said it was named Waverly, and that his daughter taught there.
Oh.
That's all I got.
Well,
this was Kentucky Life, an educational TV show. Like they played it in schools or something, so... You know what? Are you from Kentucky? Then if you are from Kentucky, maybe you know the story. And it's probably this video that you saw 9 years ago in school.
Yeah, so they'll side with you.
Just kidding.
Squaring up at me. I'll fight you. Wiki said so.
Wiki can be edited by anybody.
I know.
Moving on.
In 1908, construction began on the building. Originally, it was all made out of wood, which I don't know why that just seems crazy to me. But then I'm like,
it was 1900s. Though.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
But in 1908, construction began. July 26th of 1910 is when they actually officially opened for business. It was designed originally to accommodate 40 to 50 tuberculosis patients safely, but eventually, due to it becoming an epidemic, coincidence.
Remind you of any time recently?
Man, that's crazy. But yeah, so it was only designed to accommodate 40 to 50 tuberculosis patients safely. So that's 6 feet apart, you know. They weren't following that either.
I don't think that they followed any kind of social distancing procedures.
No.
I don't think that they did anything that we did during this pandemic.
Nope.
Because their pandemic lasted for at least 40 years.
Oh, man.
And, you know, once they said, like, that Waverly Hills was, like, very self-sufficient. and that once you went there, you weren't part of the society anymore.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Like, you were, like, a nurse, doctor, patient, you were there, and that's where you lived.
There was over 140 in there at one point.
Yeah.
So they said, hey, we need to build a bigger hospital.
You know what? 140 people don't fit in a 40 to 50 place. So how about we make a bigger shoebox for them? Put them in a bigger shoebox.
Yeah, pretty much build,
wings.
Yeah, wings.
State of the art.
Wooden wings. State of the art wooden wings.
State of the art back in 1926.
I mean, we're still in 1910 at this point. Get ahead. Don't get ahead. Don't get too far ahead.
The expansion was in 1926. That's what Kentucky Life taught me. I'm gonna live and die by that 9-year-old video. Ain't nothing that Wiki tells me can tell me anyways.
Oh my god. Yeah, so more than 140 patients filled the hospital during this epidemic at the time. So they were like, hey, we need to make a bigger one,
Yeah.
to accommodate more people because it was going crazy around this time. And apparently, at this time, it wasn't known that tuberculosis was an airborne disease. So
they didn't know crap about it.
Well, yeah.
They were like, you know what? They said Waverly Hills is a great place for TB people who have tuberculosis, to go and get some fresh air. Because that's all they need.
Yeah.
To be cured from tuberculosis.
Yeah, that was
apparently they need medicine. They didn't figure that out for 40 years.
They thought fresh air was a cure. They
fresh air and rest.
And apparently electroshock therapy at one point.
They did some crazy things. That was after they realized fresh air was not the
way to go.
Was not the way to go. Isolation and fresh air.
But yeah, like I said, so the tuberculosis was spreading like crazy because, especially through this little area of Kentucky and Louisville area, because, fun fact.
I love fun facts. Hayley's fun facts. I'm gonna make you like an intro.
Like a little
Hayley's fun facts.
Sing-song. Oh my god. But the wetlands along the Ohio River provided an amazing, like, perfect breeding ground for this bacteria.
Oh, awesome.
So, kind of, like, screwed everyone over in that area.
What a great place to have a tuberculosis hospital in a breeding ground.
Right.
Nice moist air.
Ew.
Should be in the desert. Nice dry air.
Nothing will survive there.
Nothing.
No, not even the people.
People live in Arizona.
I mean, yeah.
But do they really live in 100-degree weather? Are you really living when it's 100 degrees outside? Or are you just trying to survive?
Just trying to survive. That's literally your answer every day. Just trying to survive.
It's only 60 degrees here, so let's be real.
That's true, too. But due to the overwhelming amount of cases, and they had to make the bigger hospital, the Board of Tuberculosis Hospital received $25,000 to build a more efficient hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Who brought the cats in here?
So August 31st of 1912, they started moving all the current patients into tents and everything during construction.
Sick people in tents.
Yeah.
Sounds
close.
Sounds great.
Close enclosed areas with an airborne disease. Yeah.
Nice in a canvas tent.
Waverly Hills was a self-contained community. They had their own post office, water treatment facility. They even had their own zip code.
It's huge.
Yeah.
The current building there is like huge.
Right.
If you went exploring, it'd take you days.
5 floors.
No, we aren't going to say that yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. You guys aren't ready for it. We'll tell you when you're older in like 10 minutes.
But they grew crops, they raised their own cattle. Nurses, doctors, and patients, once you entered, you were permanent residents. They did have visiting days, though, for, like, their family. Which,
you know what? Visit the tuberculosis hospital on the weekend. Because guess what? You're visiting for life.
See, that's the one thing I didn't understand. Because they allowed visiting days for the families, but I'm like...
And then they're going to go take the tuberculosis back
I'm like, they're going to get sick. But they obviously didn't know it was an airborne disease, so they didn't know. But I'm just like... Anyway, so like I said earlier, they were, the building was wooden at this point. So December of 1912 was when they started getting more advanced cases of tuberculosis. So they built an add-on to the hospital, which added an extra 40 spots. And then 1914, they created a children pavilion add-on, which added another 50 beds. So
50 kids' beds, though.
Right. I mean, I think they're the same size. I don't think there's... I don't know why they called it Children's Pavilion when they were definitely going to use it for others as well. But it said that they did make the Children's Pavilion specifically for children that had tuberculosis, but also they were the kids of the patients that had tuberculosis. So I was like, either way,
they're going to get tuberculosis.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Probably even the nurses' kids.
It said that it was also for like basically anyone that couldn't provide child care. So like they would have to go with them.
Right.
But their goal at the time was to add a new building each year.
Yeah.
Because of how many cases there were, and they just kept going and going and going. But again, since it was wooden and due to the constant need for repairs and a more durable structure and more room, they started the 5-story building that we know of today that can house up to 400 patients in March of 1924.
Nice.
It officially reopened and opened for like the third time
in 1926.
October 17th. October 17th of 1926. Then, in 1943, it was the introduction of the streptomycin. Which, if no one knows what that is, it is the antibiotic that treats bacterial infections. So it was the treatment and cure to tuberculosis.
Right.
So, since we had a cure now in 1943, the cases of tuberculosis were declining and everything. So eventually we didn't need a 5-story huge sanatorium for all these people. So what they did is the remaining patients were transferred to Hazelwood Sanatorium. And then the sanatorium officially closed in June of 1961. A year later, after it closed in 1962, it became a geriatric hospital called Woodhaven Medical Services.
Nice.
Yeah. And like in case, because I mean, I didn't look up the word geriatric, but I just kind of inferred from everything else. It is a nursing home. Primarily treating like aging patients, obviously. They had various stages of dementia, mobility limitations, and also severely mentally handicapped patients as well. Unfortunately, in 1982, they were closed by the state of Kentucky due to being severely understaffed and overcrowded, and also there was reports of patient neglect, which that's sadly not...
It's not uncommon.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for nursing homes, and it's really fucking sad. But after Woodhaven closed, a year later in 1983, J. Clifford Todd bought the property for $3 million.
Holy moly.
Do
you think he paid cash, or do you think he got a mortgage?
I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine this man just showing up with like briefcases of money.
Okay, so wait, what year was that?
1983.
Oh, I was about to be like, how much is $3 million now?
I mean, it's obviously this is probably more now,
right?
Because of inflation, But I know I say smart words.
You're finance.
I'm big brain.
You're finance.
Oh, I am in finances.
So am I.
You're more in finances than me. I just count the money and get fucking blisters and pain. Anyway, he bought the property for $3,005,000. He, along with architect named Milton Thompson, they wanted to convert it into a minimum security prison for the state. But that plan fell through due to protests from the town. Since the prison plan fell through, they thought, hey, we're going to turn it into some apartments. That would be some interesting looking apartments, I would think. But
that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Knowing what I know, that would be spooky.
Yeah, knowing what you know. Spoiler. It's haunted.
It's haunted!
Since the prison plan fell through, they thought, hey, we're going to try to make these into apartments. But they didn't have enough funding. Spent $3 million on the building. Didn't have enough funding.
Ew. So they really put their money where their mouth wasn't, huh?
Apparently. I wonder if he got his money back, but...
No, probably not. Well, it depends.
I don't know.
If he sold it to the next person for more or less.
I don't even know how much this man bought it for. Mm-hmm. So the next thing that was to possibly happen to the sanatorium didn't get brought up until March of 1996.
Okay.
So it's been a few years.
Yeah.
A Robert Alberhasky.
Close enough.
Hopefully I said that right. I doubt it.
Actually, guess what? We don't care. Oh. Don't correct us.
Oh my God. I mean...
Hayley cares. I don't.
March in 1996, Robert Alberhasky, he bought the building and the surrounding areas. He ran an incorporation called Alberhasky's Christ the Redeemer, Inc.
Fun.
It's a mouthful.
This is a mouthful.
Alberhasky, he wanted to construct the world's tallest statue of Jesus, along with art and a worship center. He was inspired by Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro.
Right.
The phase 1 of the construction, he wanted to build a 150-foot tall and 150-foot wide statue on top of the sanatorium.
Oh.
That was going to be $4 million. And then phase 2 was to convert the sanatorium into a chapel, a theater, and a gift shop, which was I think that's so weird to have a gift shop.
That's a nice mixture.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Gift shop.
I'm just wondering what they would sell there.
Waverly Hills Jesus statue magnets. Keychains. Oh my gosh, the keychains you could make.
The keychains. But phase 2 was going to be another $8 million.
Enamel pins.
Oh yeah, you love enamel pins.
Sorry.
Again, $8 million for phase 2.
Ugh.
And then $4 million for phase 1. He didn't even get the money. So $8 million for phase 2.
Yes.
$4 million for phase 1. That's $12 million.
Big brain, my dude.
Quick math. $12 million for a Jesus statue, and a chapel, and a gift shop, and a theater. But that plan fell through for financial reasons.
No.
I know, $12 million. Like, that's not crazy.
That's pocket change. I got it in my back seat.
4 times more than what the guy paid for before him.
Right.
But
you are quick on that math.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I was really good in math, but that plan fell through due to financial complications.
Yeah. Because
they were trying to fund this through donations.
Yeah, never gonna happen.
In a year, they raised $3,000 of $12 million. So he basically canceled the whole idea in December of 1997.
He was like, you know what? Pretend I didn't say that. Just kidding. No Jesus statue.
Oh, yeah. They're like, you know what? That was a good idea last year.
But no more.
He canceled.
Also, I'm keeping you $3,000.
I wonder if he did.
He did. Absolutely he did.
Oh, wait. It was donated. So.
He probably put it into his church.
I hope he did. I hope he put it in his church and not anywhere else. Basically, from 1997 until 2001, it was owned, but no one gave a shit about this building.
Yeah.
It just got vandalized all the time and,
Yep.
Trashed. And just...
As they do.
Awful. Anyway, but in 2001, finally, it was purchased by historical and paranormal enthusiasts named Charles and Tina Mattingly.
Yeah!
Yay!
They own it right now.
Yes, they currently own the building right now, and it is Charles and Tina Mattingly. Mm-hmm. They teamed up with the Waverly Hills Historical Society, which is a nonprofit, and they're dedicated to preserving and restoring the sanatorium. So, along with Charles and Tina Mattingly, they run tours and investigations currently at the sanatorium. Their schedule, from what I could tell, they have public tours and investigation. That season is between March and August. They have private overnight tours and investigations Sunday through Thursday between March and August. And then around spooky season, September through October, they have a haunted house fundraiser, which I was like, man, I want to go to this. Like, this sounds so fun. Because it's not only fake haunted house, like, it's also haunted too. Yeah. So it's like, and then around November and December time, they have a Christmas light show fundraiser.
Fun.
Yeah. And
I want to go overnight investigating.
Let's go.
Okay. Done.
Let's just go to Kentucky.
No money. Just go to Kentucky.
We just drive there.
Hey, we got 30 cents to our name.
So we are currently in today's now. That is the history that I have researched on the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. To lead into our spooky part, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium has been on multiple entertainment ghosty shows.
Yes, it has.
It has been on Ghost Hunters. Scariest places on Earth. Because this place, fun fact, has been named one of the most haunted places on Earth.
Yeah, which is why I want to go overnight investigating.
Yes. It's also been on Most Haunted, Ghost Adventures. Love that show. Zach Bagans. I'd never believed in ghosts until I came face to face with one. Still have never seen a ghost apparition on that show. And it also was on BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yep.
Shout out to Shane and Ryan.
Shane and Ryan, we watched you.
Yeah, love them.
We were researching you. Wait, no.
No, we didn't research you.
We used you for research.
Yeah, we used you guys. Love them. And a dishonorable mention, it was featured in a movie. It was also the location where they filmed it at. They filmed on location a movie called Death Tunnel.
Garbage.
It got a 2.7 out of 10.
Garbage.
It is honestly so horrible. It was so bad.
It's a trash movie, but we had a lot of fun watching it. So like, if you're in for like maybe a little chuckle or two, like, watch it with some friends and like take shots every time it does something dumb, like something stupid happens.
Oh my god. Death Tunnel. It's in reference to the actual tunnel that was built at Waverly Hills Sanatorium. The tunnel starts on the first floor and then it ends at the bottom of the hill, and it's 500 feet long. It was just an entrance and an exit for the doctors and nurses, and also how they brought supplies in and everything. The death toll originally was only 1 a day. But at the peak of the epidemic, it was way more than that. But it is unknown because they wanted to hide the actual numbers of it.
Right.
Suspicious.
Does it remind you of anything?
Oh my god. But the doctors and nurses believed that if they hid the dead bodies, because they noticed the more the death toll, like the more the dead bodies that they wheeled out of the hospital, they noticed more of their patients were becoming like
depressed.
Yeah, more depressed and just no hope.
Right.
Like at all. So they used this tunnel as like a body disposal chute. Hence the name they thought was creative, Death Tunnel. So
the Death Tunnel, actually, it took them down a tunnel to like a railroad where a motorized rail / cable system would lift away the cadaver and remove them. So like they'd take them down there, leave them there, and this like train would come along and be like, load up all the cadavers and take them away.
Oh wow.
And so that's how they disposed of them. I also heard in other research that they like put them there to wait for cremation or burial. So they just like were just dead bodies piling up there, but I feel like that's not allowed.
You would think. But it was also 1924.
I mean, a lot of things were possible. And the other thing that I had is that some people supposedly say that 60,000 people died because of tuberculosis here. And other people say it's probably more like 8,000 people died. But there's still like a big debate on how many people really died there because of the death chute, because of all the facts that people who were there were residents there, may not have had family other places, didn't know that they died, Right. So they were really easy to hide those deaths. And so there's a group of people who are researching, and they're communicating with people who actually know of a family member or a person who died there, and they're going through death records, and they're finding at least 11,000. So the 8,000 that some people are saying is completely wrong. 60,000 not yet, but they are continuing to research to see how many people actually died there. I mean, there's a graveyard back there. There's a lot of stuff that's attached to Waverly Hills Sanatorium because of how many deaths that were there.
Crazy. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. A whole team is trying to like track down people who like knew someone who had TB who was there, or knew someone who passed away there.
Since we mentioned the tunnel and the death.
The tunnel of death.
Let's talk about an amazing movie.
Forget what we've already said. It's amazing.
Woo. Well,
Death Tunnel.
It was a movie that came out in 2005. And like I said earlier, 2.7 out of 10 stars. Could be worse. I guess. Could be half a star. But someone was generous.
Half a star.
Someone was generous. I mean, it did. I like in the beginning how they have like the little, based on true events, and they have the little like little mini history in there.
There was no true events that it was based on, though.
No, it was
only
just
the fact that the place used to be a place for tuberculosis patients. That's the only true event that it was based on.
And that it was, I mean, I thought it was cool that it was filmed in the place.
Yeah.
I really wonder if they actually like experienced anything. I didn't like see, there's literally barely anything about this movie.
Yeah, this movie, it like almost doesn't exist.
Yeah, almost.
Like the IMDb page, nothing.
Yeah.
Wiki page, nothing.
Like the actors and actresses
never worked again.
Right, yeah. Like I was like,
what if they died one by one, like Final Destination?
Whoa. 5 girls.
They kept
5 floors. 5 hours.
That was their like catchphrase, and they said it every hour.
Every
time a girl,
R.I.P. So the whole premise of this movie is college kids. This good old boy named Richie, who is a senior at this college that they're at.
He's a frat boy.
Yeah. Yes. He throws a party called Truth or Scare. Ooh.
Honestly, sounds like something I'd go to.
Right.
Truth or Scare.
Same.
Come on.
But he throws a party, and he takes these 5 girls, basically incapacitates them, and puts them on, like, one on each floor of the sanatorium, and the whole premise, it was supposed to be a hazing
like an
thing.
Initiation party.
Yeah, like an initiation for the freshmen, because all of the girls were freshmen,
right?
Apparently.
So my thing is, one of the things I didn't understand is the whole thing that it was a frat guy doing an initiation for freshman girls. That's what I didn't understand, because normally initiations for freshman girls would be done by the senior girls.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Yeah, there was that, but then there was that little part in the movie where Richie was like, "It was all Ashley's idea."
Right. But she was a freshman too.
Yeah, like this movie has a lot of plot holes.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have a plot. Honestly.
Yeah, I know my notes right here. Acting superb. Plot line doesn't exist. It's literally
10 out of 10 would recommend.
It's literally just an excuse to watch somewhat attractive women run around half naked with their tits out for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
like that's it.
Yeah,
and
really
before you ask, yes, it was made by men.
No.
Like, literally, there's not one female on this movie other than the actresses.
Yeah, and they all sound like, all the guys that are on the, like, credits when they roll, all sound like frat boy names.
Chad.
But
yeah, it's funny you said low budget, because this movie had a $1.5 million budget. Honestly, all that money went to renting out this fucking sanatorium.
It had to be.
Because it was so shitty.
It was garbage.
Like, the constant, like, re-roll. Like, it didn't even show anyone die, if you think about it.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, like, no one actually was shown dead, like, when Ashley went... Sorry. When Ashley went to stab the friend or ghost or whatever she thought it was. Right. It just shows her, like, screaming and freaking out, and then she's just covered in blood.
Also, who decides to stab a ghost?
Ashley.
Fuck Ashley.
Well, she may not thought it was a ghost. I don't know.
So then she legitimately tried to murder someone.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, she's a murderer.
And then my least favorite part was the end.
Oh.
Because... Okay.
So, in the movie, they try to make it kind of... What is it, like twists and turns or whatever, where each girl represents a past person who died at the sanatorium, right? And they all just so happen to die the same way, right? And the final girl, along with Richie, right? The final girl, it's like a shock. She's like, oh my God, like it's a realization. She's like, oh my God, it's me that died. Or however she says it. Right. And she's got like a fake little like ketchup blood coming out of her nose.
And she's like, she goes, no, I'm sick. And he walks up to her and he's like, it doesn't matter. And he like leans in and like very awkwardly like kisses her. Yeah. But the thing is, as we've already learned, tuberculosis is an airborne disease. Richie would have already been exposed to it. And would have already been sick as well.
I love the inspirational at the end, though, when he was like, we'll get through this. We'll find a cure.
Then they go back into the sanatorium.
And they go back into the tunnel. Like, the cure's in the fucking tunnel.
I mean, this movie was in, like, the 2000s. There was already a cure. It was the medicine.
True. They could have just went to the local pharmacy.
They were like, the only way out is through the death tunnel. And so they go down, they walk through the death tunnel, they get to the end, and Richie gets out, and they're outside, and she goes, I can't leave. I have to die. I mean, I don't know if those are the words she said. It was kind of a blur, but like, it was almost that good of writing.
Your writing's better.
Thank you.
Yeah, honestly, this movie was trash.
It was so trash.
It just makes me more mad knowing when I was researching this that the budget was $1.5 million.
Yeah.
I'm like, Terrifier was only $100,000. It was only $100,000, and that's a fucking masterpiece. Look at all this
He's
stuff.
only got 4-point-something stars though.
Better than 2.7.
But here's the thing. Imagine what he could do with a bigger budget. If he had the $1.5 million, he maybe could have made a 7-8 star movie or a 10-star movie, you know? But he had $100,000 and made a 4-point-something, almost 5-star movie.
The potential of this man.
Completely different story. We're not in that podcast anymore.
That was last week.
Death Tunnel did remind us, though, about a lot of spooky deaths that really did happen there.
We get into the ghosties?
We're getting to ghosty times. Ghosties. So, there are paranormal legends that go back for years and years at the Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Oh, I bet.
And this is why we chose this for Haunting Hour. Because, like we said, I mean, Waverly Hills has a very dark kind of history with the tuberculosis and the elderly care and all of that stuff, and the death tunnel or death chute as it's been referred to, those kinds of things. Right. It all seems very dark, but the darkest part is the paranormal like legends and things that people see when they go there.
I'm excited.
So some of the most, I'm going to talk to you about some of the most notable legends that people talk about, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some stories of people who were there at Waverly Hills Sanatorium and experiencing things. Now remember, take everything with a grain of salt. Some people like to troll people on the internet and tell stories that didn't never happen, but
not everything's fact and not everything is fact. Like she said, take it as a grain of salt. there are some skeptics out there, we know. So.
But here at the Haunting Hour, just during this podcast, we do believe in ghosts, at least.
Who you
and I, Ghostbusters. Okay. You and I and all the spooky babes are going to believe in ghosts and stop being skeptical for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes. I don't know how long. But for the time that we're talking about ghosties, you're just going to have to believe me here. Mm-hmm. I don't know if these are all true, and they could not be. So I'm just going to say that before people are like, hey, that's just a ghost story. You came here to be spooked.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, some of the most famous legends, there was a young patient who was in the child's wing of the tuberculosis hospital, and his name was Timmy. And he passed away there. And supposedly, he roams the halls of Waverly Hills trying to recapture his childhood that he never had.
Oh.
So, Timmy is often seen with like a blue ball or a blue bouncy ball.
Right.
And some people even bring bouncy balls to like play with him.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally, now, in BuzzFeed, Shane and Ryan tried to play with Timmy.
Yep.
And the ball never actually came back to him. But some people report that the ball actually came back.
Right.
Skeptics say that it's because of, like, wind or the uneven floors of the sanatorium because the building's so old. Yeah. All of that stuff. But people have supposedly seen Timmy with a ball, bouncing it around, playing with it. And he roams the halls. And he's like a small young boy child ghost.
Small young boy child ghost.
They also report hearing jangling keys walking down the hall, and people think that this is Ralph, the maintenance worker. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I don't know if everyone's names are accurate, but Kentucky Life told me that was Timmy and that was Ralph. And then one of the most haunted places in the Waverly Sanatorium is room 502, or the 5th floor. Mm-hmm. Who's on the 5th floor? That was just a Death Tunnel reference, just in case you guys wanted to watch that movie. Anyway, the 5th floor is where the nurses' station was. Mm-hmm. And there's been 2 noted deaths there of nurses. One is where a nurse jumped off of the balcony on the 5th floor. Some say she might have been pushed.
Mm-hmm. Conspiracy.
And some people say that it was because she was pregnant and unwed and she wasn't fit to have a child, or she didn't think she could have a child on her own. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily true. They also say that every nurse who dies, there's always some kind of like pregnancy theory with it. So there's another nurse who was hung on floor 5, right outside of the nurses' station, which is room 502. And they say that it's possible that it was one of the doctors got one of the nurses pregnant, and he tried to have an abortion and then hung her as like a cover-up of a botched abortion. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily know if either one of those women were pregnant when they died. That wasn't in the autopsy report that I read. And I'm just kidding. There's no autopsy report.
No. So it's up to speculation.
So it's up to speculation, but both nurses, there have been rumors that they were pregnant and that's why they killed themselves.
Right.
Or got killed. But other people report seeing, like, ghost nurses walking around the halls and roaming around the halls. And people think that Waverly Sanatorium, like, all the patients were stuck in their rooms. They were, like, you know, like an insane asylum. Mm-hmm. Like, they were stuck there. But they were actually pretty free to roam around the sanatorium because everyone was exposed to TB up there. So it wasn't like people had to stay, you know, locked up in their rooms. So, and then a lot of other people feel like some of the ghost activity is from how they treated their patients with tuberculosis. Before they had the cure, they tried so many different types of cures that they thought maybe would cure tuberculosis, like electric shock therapy. Or they even put balloons in people's lungs to help them breathe better. So they could, like, blow up the balloon to expand the lungs. Some doctors also removed ribs and muscle tissue to make room for damaged lungs. And so these ended up with terrible procedures that were often fatal, which is why a lot of people probably died too. I think that if they weren't trying so hard to, like, cure them like that in, like, with fatal procedures that maybe some of them wouldn't have died, you know?
Oh, for sure.
But they just didn't know. And so people report children's laughter, door slamming, people in windows of unoccupied rooms, and shadow figures all over the sanatorium. And that's reported time and time again. A lot of the stories I read all featured those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. There's also a ghost of a homeless man and a dog who supposedly fell down the elevator chute. Some people say that maybe he was pushed down the elevator chute. Yes.
I'm just saying, whoever pushed a fucking dog down an elevator chute, I'm gonna throw hands.
Please die.
Like, honestly,
yeah.
I feel like I'm a horrible person sometimes.
Yeah.
Because any movie or anything I watch, a human dies or a person dies, it's fine. An animal dies,
no,
I'm heated. Yeah. I'm done. Like, I'm ready to fight. Yeah. Like, I get so upset.
Yeah.
At all that shit.
Yeah. But the current owner of the sanatorium, has reported seeing this homeless man and his dog, like, in the middle of a room. Mm-hmm. And she saw him, and she didn't see him, like, disappear, but all of a sudden he wasn't there anymore.
Right.
Like...
So she, like, looked away and then looked back and they were gone.
Yeah. So he didn't die there from tuberculosis. He was after the tuberculosis, probably when it was more of, like, a vacant place.
Oh, yeah.
The Louisville Ghost Hunter Society was doing an investigation there, and they were in the cafeteria that was, like, super run down. Nothing was working there. There was no ovens that were working or anything like that. They were starting to leave, and they heard footsteps, and then they heard a door shut, and then they smelled bread baking in the oven, like fresh baked bread.
That's crazy.
Yeah, in, like, a completely run down
kitchen. You just
kitchen.
all of a sudden start smelling Subway?
Yeah. Eat fresh. There's just a Subway around the corner that was just making bread.
I mean, smell travels.
I used to work down the road from a Subway, and I used to have to walk past Subway every day. I could smell Subway before I got to Subway. So if there was a Subway anywhere close to these people...
they were smelling Subway.
Impossible. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, they smelled, like, fresh baked bread. Mm-hmm. In a completely ruined kitchen, and, like, right away after they heard the door slam, so, like, that's not enough time for anyone to, like, run in and bake some bread.
Right.
Like,
especially if it's run down.
Right.
Then nothing works.
Right.
Oh, let me just go bake some bread real quick.
A lot of tourists that come to this sanatorium report seeing ghosts. One of the most memorable stories is a guy, his name's Joey, and he went to the sanatorium with his friends, and they had gone all the way through the sanatorium, and then they went up to the rooftop to kind of get some fresh air and, like, decompress from the things that they were seeing and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then when they were on the rooftop, they started seeing shadow figures, and, like, it freaked out one of his friends so badly that his friend almost jumped off the roof to get away from them. Like, that's how scared his friend was.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Like, I would never be that scared.
You would rather, like, die.
Yeah, you'd rather jump off a 5-story building? Like, 5 floors. 5 girls.
5 hours. And then 5 ghosts.
5 ghosts. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part. He convinced his friend, obviously, not to jump. They went inside, and all the way through the building when they were trying to get out, they started hearing door slamming, footprints appearing in, like, the puddles on the ground. And they barely held it together all the way through, but they made it out. Obviously, they're alive.
Congratulations.
Congrats. I wish you guys got it on video or something, but we applaud you for making it out alive. Mm-hmm. There are also reports of an elderly woman ghost who roams the hallways, moaning and, like, leaving puddles of blood because she's chained at her feet and hands. Mm-hmm. Which I have no idea where this woman would come from, because, I mean, no one was chained during the tuberculosis thing, and I don't imagine, even with the mistreating of elderly people, that they were chaining elderly people up at their hands and feet like prisoners.
That's weird. That
is really weird. But there's this ghost woman, supposedly, who runs around the halls moaning and bleeding because of her chains. And, like, they hear chains rattling.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. And then, here it gets spooky.
Ooh.
There's something called the creeper.
The creeper?
Yeah.
I've seen Jeepers Creepers. Yeah. No, thank you.
So, have you ever had that, like, unexplained doom, dread feeling?
On a daily basis.
Okay. pretend you're, like, mentally stable.
What's that like?
What's that like, Grandpa? Anyway, so... But
like, just that, like, gut-wrench feeling like something's wrong?
Immediately gut-wrenching that it's like, you're like, what is that? Like, dread and doom.
Yeah.
So you may have come in contact with a creeper. And so there's a creeper that's dark and terrifying that crawls along the floor in the sanatorium, supposedly.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that.
And some think that it's like a spirit of like a person who died there, and others think that it's like a demon.
Oh, it's definitely a demon.
Yeah, definitely. I think that demons are the only ones that give you that vibe.
Right.
Human spirits are just trying to get home, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to be put to rest. Demons are the ones who make you feel like death.
Yeah.
So there's reports of seeing a creeper-like creature. And then this is one of the most crazy things, is that some tour guides have reported seeing doppelgangers of themselves walking around. There's supposedly, stories where ghosts can mimic what's happening around them. I'm just sorry.
I'm just imagining meeting another one of me.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, yeah, hi.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad.
But seriously, if I didn't think there was another me around,
that'd be crazy.
And I ran into someone who looked just like me giving a tour.
That'd be crazy. And I've heard that thing where never talk to your doppelganger, never touch a doppelganger, nothing.
Yeah.
Never interact at all because it's
right.
Ooh, it's bad.
Right.
Bad juju.
Okay, I'm at my last spooky story.
Mm-hmm.
People report taking pictures and seeing this woman peering around a corner all over through the sanatorium. Tom Halstead is a Missouri paranormal researcher, and he took a photograph of an apparition, and this person looked just like this woman named Mary Lee, who supposedly passed away there.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say that she's the nurse who hung herself, and others say she's a daughter of a tuberculosis doctor who got TB there and died.
Okay.
So Mary Lee has two backstories, and we're not quite sure which it is, but Tom Halstead took a photograph of her, and supposedly she looked like one of the other women at the tuberculosis hospital. But a lot of people have seen her peering around corners, and I'm sure there are so many more ghost stories and so many more people who have gone and investigated here.
Right.
But those are the stories that I found. And they're spooky.
Yeah, I would say those are probably the main ones. There's definitely probably more little ones, but that's...
Right. But, Timmy and the nurses, those are the main ones that people talk about all the time. So I tried to get some that not everyone knew about, like Mary and the elderly woman.
The creeper.
That
one's the one that got me. That one's a little creepy. Creeper.
No, yeah, that one's really scary. So, were you sufficiently spooked today?
Yes.
Thank you.
I was. I obviously wasn't spooked by my history, but I do enjoy a good little ghosty story.
Yes.
And I definitely I know when I suggested, let us do this one because I don't know, ever since I was a kid, I unfortunately enjoyed Death Tunnel when I was 10.
You know what? We'll forgive 10-year-old Hayley for loving Death Tunnel, but it also brought us to this great place where we now know everything about Waverly Sanatorium.
That's true. But I do remember growing up and I would watch the Ghost Adventures episode. I think I saw the Ghost Hunters episode. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Scariest Places on Earth. I used to watch that show all the time.
Right.
Which has fueled me in my
spooky adventures.
in my reasonings for picking certain places. I don't know why I've always been this has been one that I've always been interested in.
Right.
And I have a strange memory when you brought up the doppelganger thing.
Yeah.
I have a strange it brought a nostalgia thing because I think they covered that in one of the shows, but I do remember hearing about that and was like, and it was saying, like, don't ever, like, touch your doppelganger or, like, anything like that. But yeah, this is, like, one of the main ones that I wanted to do, and I'm glad I get to do it.
Yeah.
Because I learned more. I don't know. I thought there was going to be more, like, devastation.
Right.
Oh, like,
I feel like I thought that the history was more scary than it was. I mean, granted, all those people dying, but it's not like someone killed them.
Right.
I mean, okay. Maybe there was some doctors that didn't do the right things and
there was some
may have had some fatal procedures done there. But I thought there was more, like, devastation in the history.
Right. I don't know. I thought there was going to be more information. Well, I guess I thought there'd be, like, more information on, like, mistreatment or, like, the botched electroshock therapy, stuff like that. I thought there was going to be more of that for some reason. I don't know. I think I just grew up and thought that it was something a little different, but...
And I think that in a normal case, so, like, if Waverly Hills Sanatorium was today, I think that we would have a lot more information. But because they were trying to hide how many people died there, and they were trying to make it not the worst place on earth. Mm-hmm. I mean, they weren't trying to make it the happiest, but they weren't trying to make it the worst place on earth. I feel like we would have known more than what we do. And a lot of that information that happened is lost with the nurses and doctors when they died. Mm-hmm. If they didn't pass that information down to anyone, then that information died with them. I don't know. It is what it is, but
it is what it is.
I think there are a lot of mysteries that we don't know because there's just not any record of it.
Yeah. Like you said, if it was today, modern technology and everything,
it'd be hard to hide that.
Right.
In fact, it is hard to hide that, apparently. We found out exactly how many people died during our pandemic.
True.
I mean, maybe even more, but I mean, I think we have a more accurate number than they did.
Oh, yeah.
Because...
yeah. We don't have to have a team tracking down generations.
Right. And I feel like the internet is like people's own diary sometimes that, like...
Oh, yeah.
That if someone passed away from COVID, it might be noted there.
Right.
Like, hey, my grandpa died from COVID today. Because I feel like that's all over. At least last year and throughout the last year.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Well, so do you want to tell them what we're going to talk about next week?
So next week is going to be our Hollywood versus True Crime segment. It is really hard to even find a true crime.
Yeah.
That
we were both interested in.
Yeah, that we were both interested in.
Right.
But we're going to be talking about The Strangers, which I'm excited about because it's a good movie.
Yeah, and it's a crazy
true
crime story.
Yeah.
So Hayley's going to bring you all of the details and fun facts about that movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you the true crime story. And we're going to chat about the little differences and nuances that are different in the story. And what the movie could and couldn't capture from the actual story.
Right. Yeah. So tune in next week.
Excited to do that story.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
If you want to follow us and chat with us at all, you can follow us on Twitter for the Ghouls. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Saturdays are for the Ghouls. Mm-hmm. We post at least one picture every week for the episode. And we will reply to your tweets. I promise. I will personally be replying to your tweets.
Especially if you have red flags written all over you.
No red. Spooky babes don't have any red flags. All spooky babes are red flag free because we're colorblind, so they're gray.
Oh my god!
All right, Hayley.
All right, Kathryn.
Do you have anything else you want to tell the spooky babes? Stay safe.
Stay safe out there, guys.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
As you're loving, I'm gonna say sisters. Not mothers.
I definitely do not have the
capacity to be a mother.
How about
your cool aunts?
Yeah, I was gonna say the cool aunts or the sisters, but the cool aunt that lets you do shit.
Yeah.
Responsibly.
Yeah. So we are your spooky babes. We are your cool aunts. Don't do drugs without us. Don't drink alcohol without us. Come over and watch some horror movies with us. Well, spooky babes, as you lay your little heads down to rest tonight, thinking about Waverly Hills Sanitorium.
The creeper,
Timmy, nurses, ghosts,
all the ghosts,
spooky things. We're gonna see you
in your nightmares. Dun, dun, dun. I said dun dun dun.
dun, dun, dun.